Hello there, and thanks for joining me once again at my tying bench. And this fly, today's tutorial is going to be a dry fly. And this particular fly is an attractor pattern. And I guess you could call it an old classic. It's been around for a long time. It's the Rio Grande King. And it's also tied in the wet fly version. But I thought you might, I thought you'd like to see the dry fly version this time around. And I'll get this guy a device here, a fresh hook in, and we'll get started. The hook I'm using is a TMC 100 standard dry, and I'm tying on a size 12 here, the larger size for the video. So I'll get that hook locked in the vise here. Alrighty, and thread I'm using danville 6/0 and a brown. And first thing we'll do is start our thread about a hook eye length behind or so, and we'll go back to about halfway on the hook shank here. Then I'm going to come back up halfway onto that section of thread and stop right there, and that's going to be our wing placement where I stop the thread. So we'll snip off our tag end. Now, white duck quills for the wings, and I have two slips here, one off the right and left quill, and I matched them up, and I'm just going to line the tips of them up here. And I'm going to give you a couple tips on these as we're tying with the duck quills. Alright, so I have those lined up, and I got the concave sides against one another, so you get a natural split in the feathers like so. And now we're going to take these, and a lot of people like to have them the width of the hook gap, but I find if you make your wings a little bit too wide, that's how they tend to split on you quite often. If you try to put too wide of wings on the hook, so I keep them about half that width, or maybe a bit more half of the hook gate. So we're going to measure those up like always here. We want them about the length of our hook shank. Then we'll move them ahead, and I'm going to come up between my fingers with a soft pinch loop here, come down, back around once again, then I'm going to pull straight up on them, then I'm going to wrap back like so, snip off the excess in the rear. I'm not worried about a taper because it has a chenille body. Now I'm going to lift up ever so carefully on my wings here. The key I find of these duck quills is you got to go really careful with them. You don't want to be too aggressive with your thread wraps, and I don't want to wrap back too far as well because that'll do a number on them. And as you can see, you get a natural. They divide naturally if you tie them in that way, concave side facing one another. So I don't bother trying to put X wraps between them or anything like that, because that's another way that they'll really give you a hassle and probably split on you quite a bit if you try to do that too much. So okay, now we'll jump in back again, and we're going to wrap back towards our bend, get ready to attach the tail, just like so. And the tail is, on this particular one, is golden pheasant tippet, and I've also seen it in books with yellow hackle fibers for the tail as well, but I'm going to use golden pheasant. So I'm just going to come in with my scissors and pick a small amount out for the tail, and we'll snip those. And we want those to be the length of the hook shank. So I'll come in and tie those on top here, just like so. Come back a few wraps. Alrighty, there's our tail. Now I'll proceed forward. Gonna snip off the excess, just like so here. Alright, bind the rest of that down. Now the body is black chenille, and I have some black micro chenille here. Some really small stuff is what you want to use for these dry fly patterns. I find it works best anyway. So we're going to tie that in here, the far side of the hook, let it come down around. Okay, a couple more wraps. Then we're going to wrap that all down forward, secure it nice and tight, and stop where we want to tie off our body. Okay, so we'll bring that chenille around, slowly begin to wrap our body forward here, like so. Okay, and I'm going to tie that off right there. Just catch it with one snug wrap and wrap back on it. Another wrap, I'll sneak another wrap in behind there. Then wrap back once again. And I'll come in nice and close and snip off the excess. There we go. Alrighty, so there's our chenille body. Tied in. Ready to roll there. Okay. Alrighty, so now what I want to do is create a smooth thread base here before I tie in my hackles. Wrap back a little on that chenille. Try not to make too many wraps. Okay, now I have two size 12 neck hackles sized out here. And I may have showed you before, but when I do dry fly hackles, you'll find it much best if you don't know if you can see that good here. I don't know how good I'm demonstrating it, but take a little bit of hackle fibers off the one side of each hackle before you tie them in. The side that's going to be you're going to be wrapping down around the hook first, and then just place your two hackles together and tie them in as you would. And that way you'll get a much more straighter hackle going up and down as you wrap. So we're going to tie these in right where we want to start them on the fly here. And we're going to wrap towards our duck quills. Now this is where you want to be very careful too. When you jump ahead with those stems, just keep them along the side of the shank, not too close to the duck quills. That way you won't mess your wings up. And we're going to snip these tips off here. Secure those all the way down to the eye. Then I'm going to work back, just come in nice and slow with easy wraps in front of that duck quill wing. Because what I'm trying to achieve here is a nice smooth thread base to wrap my hackles on. That's the key to a good dry fly hackle, I find. You don't want any lumps in your thread if you can help it. That looks fine. Yeah, so make sure my wings are going to keep that natural split to them, just like so. As you can see, they got a nice little gap there between them. Alrighty, so next is the hackle wrapping. So what we're going to do is take our first hackle here and bring this guy down around and start him here. Grab my hackle pliers on here. Okay, so now we want to get about, I usually try 3 behind the wing and 3 in front usually. Sometimes it works out a little more, depending on how long your hackle is that you're using. And I also should mention that first wrap in front of the duck quill wings, try to get it as close as you can to those wings without splitting them. Okay. See, this particular hackle here is a little shorter than most, but it'll do the trick. And we'll bring him up around and tie him on top here with a couple thread wraps to secure him first. And pull down tight on the thread. Release my pliers. And forward with a couple more securing wraps. Then we'll come in and snip that hackle tip off. Just like so. Alrighty. Now, we're going to follow with the second hackle. And so we'll grab him with the pliers here. Come down around. And also with the second hackle, I'll mention how I usually, what I'll do is zigzag that through as I'm going forward. That way it'll tend not to trap your, bind down the hackles from your first barbels from the first hackle that you wrap, which is what you want. Just have a look at it there, it looks good. And we'll keep wrapping forward. And we'll get like one more wrap on this guy. Actually, two more. Okay, we're going to tie that off. Come around. Okay. Okay, there we have it. Now, bind that down nice and tight. And I'll come in and snip off that tip as well. Just like so, and a couple of caught trapped fibers I have there. Alrighty, so there's that. We have our hackles wrapped in. Now I'm just going to build a little thread head here on the front. And it's a done deal pretty much, folks. Another size 12 Rio Grande King. A good all-around attractor dry fly pattern for sure. And I hope those tips on the duck quills, tying them in, helps you. If you're having trouble with the duck quills, you can see how the wings are propped up nice and split, divided good, and they didn't split apart on me as I was tying them in. Okay, so last step here is to put a whip finish in, and we're good to go. And we'll get 4 or 5 turns here. Okay, finish that guy off. There we go. Snug it down tight. Snip off the excess. Alrighty. Okay, so now all we got left to do is some head cement. I'm going to bring a little close up on them here, just to show you how it turned out. It's a cool looking pattern for sure. Alrighty. So I'm going to take a little Solarized bone dry and put on the thread wraps on the head of this guy. And cure it up with the light. Alrighty. Okay. Now we're just going to zap them with the UV light here. There we go. Okay. So that's good for him. Alrighty, so there we have it, folks. So once again, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and you can tie some of these up. It's good practice using duck quill for wings. So until next time, well, before I get ahead of myself, if you'd like to see more videos, hit that good old subscribe button. I appreciate each and every one of you that have subscribed so far. And as long as I keep getting subscribers, I'll keep making videos. That tells me that you want to keep seeing more. So, and if you have any comments, put them down below. So, until next time, happy tying out there, everyone. I shall see you all again soon. And so long for now, folks.